serious country.
Kali, just to step in for 2 seconds there. Look, I put the sentiments in at the end, and it's nice to have the sentiments. But if you look at the facts, Egypt have underperformed. Of course, they have a solid base.
They're in the finals.
But they don't have as solid a base as the Senegalese, like I said to you. And look at Senegal. They grew into the tournament. And while Egypt was struggling to break teams down, even in the second round, in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, as you can see, actually, maybe you can argue that Senegal had an easier path because in the second round, they had to play. I was going to point
out that to you.
But they dispatched Cape Verde 2-0. And you can only beat what is in front of you. And Cape Verde did not get into the second round on a lottery. They actually earned their place. And then in the quarterfinals, totally took apart an Equatorial Guinea team that we thought was one of the lights of the tournament, one of the underdogs who came alive. But they took them in, they really put them in their place 3-1. And then Burkina Faso, that have been performing brilliantly up until the semifinals as well. I mean, what did Senegal do to them? 3-1. You can see a theme there. The first game by 2 clear goals, second game by 2 clear goals, the third game by 2 clear goals. So I think the Senegalese have got it right at the back. You're not going to get past Mendy easily.
And one of the things, Femi,
you got Cisse. Hold your thoughts, Kali. Yeah, I've told you about the middle. You've got a guy who plays. I mean, he's played for Everton. He plays for PSG at the minute, so he knows what he's doing there, holding up the team. Then going forward, Dieng has got 2 goals, and Bamba Dieng, he's got 2 goals in this tournament already. Ismail Assar is going to come on and help because usually he starts from the bench. So they have that energy to come in, and you know he can score goals. We saw what he did to Liverpool when they were on their winning run. Took apart the team totally and handed something that could be. They were going to actually equal Arsenal's record. So they've got Sarr there who knows what he's doing. And then best of all, Mane is not going to rest. He won't let the defense rest. So I think for the merits of it, I think the Senegalese actually have a better chance. Now, that's football anyway. Anything can happen. It is. If you look at the trend in the tournament, it's all Senegal tonight, mate.
So Femi, again, it's a good thing you mentioned the teams they beat, coming to these finals. When you play against the host country, right, you play them to a standstill. You play against the highest goal scorer of the tournament. You make sure he doesn't see anywhere near goal. It tells you how defensively compact this this Egyptian side has been. You play against Morocco, another one of those North African teams that, when you mention the big teams in Africa, they're one of them. And then you play against an Ivorian side that looked like they were destined to go all the way to the final, because a lot of people actually thought Ivory Coast would beat Egypt. But Egypt have shown their credentials. No matter how prolific your strike force are, no matter how beautiful you've played, when you get to us, we will tame you. Okay. And I think that's what the Egyptians have done.
It makes for amazing viewing tonight, isn't it?
Exactly. So this is the kind of final for those who think the AFCON is one small tournament. This is the kind of finals we want to see to make them understand that it is no small tournament. It's the number 1 tournament in Africa. It's one of the most followed in the world, actually. Agents, viewership across the world. Sky just announced a record viewing of the AFCON on their network. Yeah. So many networks in Asia and in the Arab world, a lot of people are watching, the AFCON. It tells you how important the tournament is.
And very crucially, just to step in, Khalid, the timing is also perfect as well, because if you look at the Latin American ones, or we see the Gold Cup, we see the South American games as well. They actually played at odd times in Europe and in Africa, and we've got about similar times in Europe and Africa. So makes for amazing timing and viewing. And as you said, everyone who actually wrote it off, they've all been fans of it. So we can't wait to see what's going to happen tonight, honestly.
Okay, so I need to come in here, guys. Based on timing, I want to follow up with the timing before we round up, before I ask you guys for your scoreline predictions. Based on the timing, much has been said about the AFCON, the time it's been played. The January time is always a subject of controversy. The fight with coaches, the fight with clubs for players to be released. Oftentimes, we see players being released within a week, 14 days before each tournament. Unlike when most tournaments are played during the summer break, you have enough time for them to join their various national teams, train and practice. Do you not think? I've had this discussion, we've had these debates in our academy here among the coaches, especially with the chief coach, Coach Eugene, and a whole lot of other coaches. We've had this discussion a lot. In fact, the Coach Eugene believes that he wants that timing to stay. It shows that we are rebels. He is looking at it in terms of rebelling against FIFA and whatever what things. But for me, my own opinion is we're also robbing ourselves of some of our quality players, because every tournament we have a situation where we miss out on so many players not attending based on club problems. You know, remember these players, when they come over, some of them defy their clubs. There's always repercussion when they go back. Either they struggle to get back to the team, or one problem or the other because they went against club policies and the rest. So,
Festus, will Salah struggle to get back into Liverpool team?
No, Salah.
Will Mane struggle to get back into?
No, they won't. I'm talking of the average players here.
Will Mahrez struggle to get the normal playtime he used to get out? You know what I think? You know what I think? All of them should be at their best, and no club will. But the players. Some of the players who come with these excuses, right? They are not even super regulars in their clubs. Case in point, Emmanuel Dennis. Who was he before some weeks ago? Who has he been since the AFCON has been on? You know, choosing the club over your country. I said something. If you are a very, very good player, no manager will bench you because you went to the AFCON or to any competition. They will play you. A lot of African players are just satisfied with being part of squads or being in a mid-table team or being here. If you are on top of your game, and Ndidi will come to Nigeria whenever I play for Nigeria, and when he gets back to Leicester, he will get back into that team. That's because of how good he has become with his trade. African players.
Kali, just to add something quickly. Kali, just to add something quickly. If we look at the history of the Nations Cup, look at Alex Song. When he was at Arsenal, he could hardly get into the team. Didn't know what he was doing. Everybody was pillaring him. Then he went with Cameroon to the Nations Cup, grew his confidence in leaps and bounds, came to Arsenal and became a stalwart of the team. Straight after the Nations Cup, he grew in confidence. So there's the pluses, there's the minuses, but just like Fez was saying, it's important that we all really just genuinely understand that, yes,
before Khalid jumped in, really, the point I was putting out some points because I want you guys to comment on them. Khalid, I will give you the opportunity to counter them and give us your views on them. I'm just trying to lay out a talking points here. Now, a lot of argument is based on we miss out on a whole lot of players, whatever reason. Now you are giving those reasons. It may be you can always say the players are right or wrong, but that is not the case here. The case here is a whole lot of players miss out on the tournament because of the timing. Now we're talking of the timing. Remember, that's the argument here. We miss out on some players which could have made the competition more improving quality, because the more quality players you have, the better your tournament in terms of performance and stuff. Then also, do you guys think we get the best in terms of scouting, top clubs sending their top scouts, and also in terms of marketing, a whole lot of stuff? Do you think we get the best when we host these tournaments in January, or instead of this summer, when every league is off, when every scouts are free, when we can have the likes of Arsene Wenger and the top pundits?
You see, this is my problem. Who is Arsene Wenger in this game?
Easy.
Who cares if Arsene Wenger comes to AFCON or not?
We do care, Kali.
I just gave an example when I named top pundits. That
Festus, I see where you're going with all of this, right? And so as not to drag it.
Okay.
Let me see. The biggest scouts in the world are the AFCON. Don't let anybody deceive you that we don't have the scouts who are watching leagues across Europe right now. They are club-owned scouts who are specifically domiciled in different countries watching. But the real scouts who do business, football business, all these major competitions, play it in a whole. They are there.
Okay.
Some of the biggest scouts are at the AFCON right now. Okay. The players, when you prepare, when the season is already off, the players are in holiday mood. It takes them a while to get into it. When you're doing it, when you're playing it now, you're getting players who are sharp Very, very sharp. They are in season already. They are playing week in, week out. They have 2 weeks to now blend with their own national team teammates and then go into it. So there's nothing wrong with the timing. I ask you, this AFCON that just finished, which player could have that did not go, that if he had gone, would have made it better? There is none. There is none anywhere on the face of the earth. Talk about Victor Osimhen. It's all what ifs.
Dennis for Nigeria, Osimhen for Nigeria.
Listen, Dennis, how many goals has he scored since the Nations Cup started?
They would have improved.
How many goals has Dennis scored since the Nations Cup started?
He's been on suspension. Remember, I got a red card.
Yeah. See, listen, he could have come and played the first game for Nigeria and got a red card as well. So what ifs don't work in football? What is in front of you?
Anyway, why? I mean, let's look at the future though, and the future of the Nations Cup, as we've seen, because I mean, I think personally,
I'm sending a clear question. Do you think we should maintain the January timing, or move this tournament to summer when everybody will be available?
You can see from Kali's understanding, and I do see there's a lot of points in what he says, where the players are at the peak of their performance. They've had 5-6 months of football, so they're ready to go. The only thing you do get, of course, is the disruption to the teams that pay their wages, and that's very important. And unfortunately, some of them do come back with injuries. But the next one, which would actually be in Ivory Coast, is going to be from the 23rd of June to the 23rd of July next year, 2023. So it's going to be in the summer. Okay. So what we want to be looking at is, they've already agreed that, because I think it's important. I live in England, and I think it's important that, as I support Arsenal, there was a time we used to lose a lot of players to the Nations Cup as a team. Of course, I love my country, but also look at the plight of some of the teams. They're fighting relegation, and a Premier League team, you're talking about hundreds of millions in terms of revenue in being in the Premier League. Same thing with teams in France, in Spain, and we want the best players. We want our top players at
but when you're signing an African player, you know he's gonna. There's a likelihood he plays the AFCON.
Kali, that's true, and that's why
FIFA makes sure club sides must respect that.
Kali, is it every team that has such a big team that can replace? Look at Liverpool.
If you're buying an African player, if you're a small team, don't buy African players. But if you know they are good enough to make your team better, you have them.
Kali,
every year, you know that.
Okay. I agree with you. Every 2 years. But the beautiful thing is,
that's why you have a squad.
Personally, I think it's a very welcome development that the guys who run CAF, they're looking at it from the perspective of the other teams. The big teams, they can replace players. I mean, Mahrez was not missed by Man City, was he? Mm-hmm. Are you going to tell me that Liverpool have not missed their 2 best players?
That's a shame. That's a shame on Liverpool if they don't have replacements for them.
Have the guy from Guinea to eat as well, yeah. And they've got 3 of their finest players away for a whole month. That's going to hurt any team. But I want to look at the future and say, let's see what happens in 2023 when we play it next year in Ivory Coast, and it's in the middle of the summer.
So do you know why it was moved?
Can I quickly make a point? Can I quickly make a point? The one thing that I worry about is that in Africa, our own seasons are different from that of Europe. We're in summer in Europe, and it's amazing in the summer. But of course, in Africa, June is not summer. It's pissing. I mean, excuse my language. It's pouring. It's a time when the weather is not really great. So you might have a lot of rainfall. You might have some disruptions to the teams. But in Europe, we play in the winter when it's the fields. I mean, the pitches are totally. We saw so many games